I was so opposed to cover songs for a long time. I was like, it's such a sellout. You have hit songs that people just love and have connected with. So just make it easier. Just make it part of your marketing plan. TikTok removed my cover of Blinding Lights, originally by The Weeknd, and I'm pretty pissed about it. Now, I'm an entertainment attorney. I've done this a long time. It's been over 9 years, and I'm very well versed on how to legally do cover songs. I'll tell you what happened with my situation, but I only offer that because I'm going to walk you through how to legally do cover songs so you can use this as a really smart marketing tool for yourself, for your band, for whatever you're doing artistically, if you're a music producer, and to do it in the right way, including if some record label decides to come after you and be like, I don't think you should do a cover song of our artist's song. I'm gonna get you geared up. If you're excited for all the things, hit the like button and let's jump into it. So where I like to start is to talk about the difference between sampling and doing cover songs. And then also there's kind of like this nuance in between. And I'll start with just sampling, right? So sampling is where you actually take a portion of someone else's recorded song, whatever it is. It could be as short as possible. That's a common question. What if it's just 1 second? It doesn't matter. If you take a portion of someone else's song and put it into your song, you have sampled, and you're required to have gotten permission, because if you don't, it's copyright infringement. And copyright infringement comes with statutory damages and bad things, and you will lose sleep and lose a lot of money. So you do need to get a license for sampling. So other than sampling, there's also interpolations. Okay, so where you're not taking an actual piece of this sound recording. And we talked about this for, let's see, it was Beyonce on her last album, and she interpolated from Khalees's Milkshake song. And so we were talking about all of that because Khalees was really angry, but it was more about the credit thing because it's like, F Pharrell. And anyway, different video. But interpolating, meaning you take something from someone else's song, the rhythm, the words, you meant to take it to replicate it, and you made just your own version of it, right? And your own performance of it. That's an interpolation. So it's not sampling, but you still need to get a license for this. So setting aside now all of this, in cover land, so the United States Copyright Act is built to allow you to do cover songs without needing to get a license. And I'm gonna take you through and show you exactly how this works. But a cover song is a new performance of someone else's song. So I was speaking with someone about this and explaining, and they're like, well, what if, if you do a whole new instrumental and a whole new vibe and you take it to a rock song, so now it's a dark pop song, which is what I do. And I go, that's okay. As long as you keep the integrity of the song, it's still the same song. It's the same structure. It goes verse, pre-chorus, chorus. You're not just like taking all the pieces and then you have a whole new chorus. That would not be a cover. But if the whole structure of the song is the same, it's the same lyrics, and you just adapt it into a new genre, you're good to go. It's a cover song. A Music Attorney is your #1 legal resource for artists, producers, and record labels. Get contract templates, one-on-one legal advice, free master classes, and everything you need for your music business. Go to topmusicattorney.com. All right, so then the question is, well, is it illegal to do cover songs? Well, we just answered that. No, it's not illegal. And again, because under the Copyright Act of 1976, which was put into effect in 78, you at the time could get what's called a mechanical license. But let me show you this, because for those of you who are just little smarty pants, I think this is going to be helpful for you. So here, in fact, let me share my screen. 17 USC Code, Section 115. So right now we're looking at the Copyright Act. And so what this does is it basically breaks down and it says the availability to get what's called a compulsory license. Back in the day, it used to be that you would get this license through these places like Harry Fox Agency and Easy Song Licensing. But what I want you to know, which makes your life so easy, is you scroll down and the Music Modernization Act made an amendment to this and it added some language, and it goes under, in fact, let me see. It's under D. There's a lot of language here, so we're just going to scroll for a sec. There we go, all the way down here. So it goes the blanket license, which are now obtained by digital music providers. In order for you to do a cover song now, today, digital music providers such as Spotify and Amazon, they're the ones who are required to get these licenses. And they did this because artists didn't know, or they just weren't doing it. But the DSPs are the ones that pay. They pay out the mechanical royalties to the original composers, to the original, or to the publishers who represent the composers. So the good news for the rest of us is that you can just do a cover song and you don't need to get any kind of license. And that is because these amendments were made and then some stuff went into effect. Now, one thing I just want to drop as far as letting you know, there's something called the Mechanical Licensing Collective. And this went into play in January of 2021, and specifically January 1st. But this is the organization. If you are the person who made the song, because I'm fighting it out with a record label right now, explaining this. If you're the label who owns owns the song, you have to go register with the Mechanical Licensing Collective in order to collect those earnings that get paid from the DSPs. So you as an artist, the way it works, you just do the cover song, you send it to the DSPs, and then the DSPs like Spotify will just take a portion that is required by law and they send it to the Mechanical Licensing Collective. And then the labels and the publishers and the songwriters get paid, but you have to go and register on the MLC. That's a lot. You're following along. You're doing a great job, but I gotta just kind of point this out regardless of where you're at. This is how it works. But then I would be remiss to not mention, what if someone files to take down my song? Because this happened this week and I'm just like pulling out my hair. So I need to explain this. So let's go back because again, it helps that you don't just rely on my word. Let's actually look at this together. So under section, again, we're back to the Copyright Act. So now we're in 512. All right, so under 512, and you're gonna scroll all the way down and we're gonna get to F, as in Frank. Any person who knowingly materially misrepresents under the section that material or activity is infringing, or that material or activity was removed or disabled by mistake or misidentification, shall be liable for any damages, including costs and attorney's fees by the alleged infringer. If someone takes down your song, your cover song that's on Spotify, and it's because they misunderstood law, or maybe they just disregarded it, pursuant to what I just read to you, you can get your damages. If you have to go hire an attorney, which is what our client did, client had to hire us, and now we're fighting it out, and they have to pay our attorney's fees, well, we're gonna get those back because the law says so. So I wanna mention that. That's like a super pro kind of thing that I've never said in any of these videos, and I do these videos pretty much once a year, but I wanna tell you because I know this is gonna help. If you're a hustler like me, working on your career every day, go to topmusicattorney.com to apply to work directly with me. Let's get your music business to 6 figures and beyond. So now let's talk about, well, how do, a question you might have is, well, how do the composers and the publishers actually get paid? This is how they get paid. It's not just through the DSPs. It's roughly about 15% of the money that you earn goes to the Mechanical Licensing Collective, but there's also public performance. If you go and perform this song at a venue, then that venue is required to report, and through its license, it pays the public performance organization. So if you're in the United States, those organizations are ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and then it's different for each country. And then lastly, through online performances. All right, so if you're doing cover songs, you go, well, what about, and this is the tricky part right here, so please pay attention. Where they can get you sometimes is that what we just went through with that compulsory license that the DSPs get, it doesn't mean that you can put your song to a visual. It means you can make a cover song and put it on music platforms. So if you're going to sync your song to a visual, so it's a music video, a lyric video, but just something that has a visual component to it, well, you are otherwise required to get a sync license. And this is where people run into problems because they're like, I just did my cover song of, Lady Gaga's song, and how am I going to get in touch with her or her label? And even then they're going to be like, sure, pay me $20,000 for your video. The workaround of this is that most of these labels who own these songs have done deals with YouTube and TikTok, Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram. And I'm going back to my cover song. Remember at the beginning of this, I said my song was taken off of TikTok. Well, if you guys remember, just recently, Universal ended its relationship with TikTok because they're like, hey, our agreement that we had with TikTok so that we could collect the money, the composer rights, the publishing, ended. And they wouldn't pay us more. And so we just took all of our music off of the platform. So what happened is that because now the rights are not there, TikTok is not allowed to have the music owned by Universal on its platform, well then my cover song, which the original song is owned by Universal, it got muted. My stuff is specifically related to that song is no longer on the platform. So when people are like, well, you're infringing my rights and your song is on Instagram Reels, what I'm saying is that each of these labels and publishing companies have separate deals because they would be stupid not to. They want to collect the revenue from your synchronizations of the songs to videos. Basically, here's your homework. And this is what I need you to think about if you want to do songs, because you're clear, you're good to go when it comes to just distributing the song on music platforms. But then when you want to put the song into, let's say, a music video, a part of your due diligence is it's probably the same thing, right? The label and most of these major labels have deals with YouTube. And so they're going to monetize your video through Content ID because they'll be able to be like, hey, this is like the weekend, cover song. And so they'll claim the monetization, they make their money, and then you don't get flagged. You don't get strikes on your channel. So as part of your kind of due diligence, because you're not going to have like a list of like, this is Sony has an agreement with YouTube for this song. There's nowhere to look that up. But you can do your due diligence of like a search. And you go, hey, has Blinding Lights by The Weeknd been covered by other artists? Do a little search. Are you finding there's a lot of videos that are up? If there's nothing up, that might be because there's no license in place for that song. So in your kind of how we're going to do this and how you're going to move forward to make sure that you can do these cover songs and benefit from all the benefits that coming with the free marketing, because people are like, maybe I'll check out your Blinding Lights cover, because they don't want to give time to your original stuff because they're busy. And it's asking a lot from new potential fans. But if someone came across a song that they already kind of dig and they're like, I'll give you a chance to kind of hear your voice, hear your style, because they know the song and it asks less of them. And trust me, I was so opposed to cover songs for a long time. I was like, it's such a sellout. I want to have just my own music and I want people just to love my music and all this stuff. And I just realized how silly that was, because I go, you have hit songs that people just love and have connected with. So just make it easier. Just make it part of your marketing plan. I kind of think of it like juicing the algorithm. So, you can do cover songs in between your original song releases to just get more people in, get more fans in, and just kind of get your chops up and just do all the things. Need contracts for your music business? Go to topmusicattorney.com to get downloadable templates such as NDAs, record label agreements, management agreements, featured artist agreements, and so much more. Go to topmusicattorney.com. I did a cover song. I changed 2 little words. Easy Song wanted to charge me $400 to get the license. Oh, thank you for sharing this. Did you completely change the substance of the song by changing 2 words? Well, what 2 words were they? A part of the analysis, because sometimes like I've done a song where like I love Blue by Eiffel 65, and I haven't officially released a version of it, but in it, it goes, I have a girlfriend and she is so blue. And so when I do it, I go, I have a boyfriend and she is so blue. So my argument would be that's such a de minimis change. It's so minimal that I think it still qualifies as a cover song because everything else was kept exactly the same. So anyway, It kind of sounds like Easy Song may have kind of just gone for the jugular.
Yeah, and then he replied, so I said the heck with that, and I changed back the 2 words to the original lyrics, and I paid a small fee for the license with Easy Song.
Well, Mark, I mean, let me just add on that. Just know right now you do not need to get the mechanical licenses anymore. But one caveat. If you are one of these companies that does like volume cover songs and you have YouTube channels and all this stuff, you may want to still get the mechanical licenses, because on iTunes, there's a download portion. So it's not just DSPs anymore, right? People are actually purchasing it. So you do need the mechanical license yourself in that instance. But for all the rest of us, just putting out our music as artists and producers, you wouldn't need to get it.
Yeah, and just cover songs are they're just such a great way. And we were talking about like sync licensing and just, these TV shows are always looking for cover versions and like stripped down versions.
I love that you mentioned that. Yeah, because we did a bunch of research and we were looking at all of these music supervisors who are like award-winning, Stranger Things, Nora Felder, talking about cover songs and how they're so popular right now because they don't want to pay the original artist the huge fees it would take to license the song. So they get your cover song, but you got to do the cover song.
So he actually answered. He said no. In the verse, the original lyric was, I let her go. I changed it to she let me go.
Is that enough to not abide by the inherent structure of the song, the inherent lyrical intention? It's so minimal.
If I was the artist, the original artist, and let's just say I just one of these people just wanted to throw like a fit about something, I would argue that kind of changes the meaning. Like, for instance, if it was, I let him go, that's not so much as, she let me go. It kind of reverses the purpose of the song. Lyric in that as I'm reading it, so maybe that's why, but I agree, it's so minimal.
But guys, this is what I do as an attorney every day. It's one of those it depends kinds of things. So if you could be potentially exposing yourself and you're like, you know what, I just don't even want to have any kind of issue, so I'm just going to change it back, that's okay. And I say this to people who just blatantly sample music, clients of mine. And I'm like, my job is to let you know that when you were sampling and doing these mixtapes and all this stuff, you have to get licenses. You're not. You've gone away with it. No one sued you. But it's like this experiential wisdom of at some point, you might get sued. So just my job is to let you know, this could be an ouchie. do as you wish with that. So anyway, if you found this video helpful, I appreciate you sticking in with me. Be sure to subscribe, get on the newsletter. It's linked down below so you can get all the freebies. I'll see you on the next one.